But while we're doing that, I just want to say, Ebony, one, thank you for getting us started and having a very important conversation, and kind of teeing this up. Very good work, and we're so appreciative of the work that Manners does and creates so many opportunities for the youth that we worked with as well. So a lot of the stuff that Ebony was talking about, we feel the exact same way here with Greening Youth Foundation, and that we want to see what implementation looks like. And so when you're having these after five conversations, or these strategies and values and things like that, as Ebony said, are built into your programs, with us, this is what's possible. And so we are an organization that is based in Atlanta, but we do work throughout the country with a mission to engage underserved, underrepresented youth and young adults and really connect them to the outdoors and what opportunities look like. And so this work is something that we've been doing for almost 15 years, and we have a lot more work to do, but we're very hopeful because people, good people like you, keep showing up. So we see what is possible. We see the strength and the intelligence and the perspective that the youth that we're working with bring. And so there's a lot of excitement with me, with our team. I'm sure Ebony and her team could say the same thing, but we're really excited for what opportunities do exist. And so with that, I'll get started. I'll share a little bit about kind of the programs that we run. As I said, that speak directly to what Ebony was talking about when we talk about knocking down those barriers. And so we'll start with Forevergreen, which is how we got our start. It's an environmental education program, but we do this in partnership with several groups. So whether they're from the private sector, the public sector, federal agencies, you name it, or volunteers, parents. We started it as a parents group, but it's just saying if we teach these young people stewardship from a very young age. So as we had some pre-K students last year, I know that says K through 12, but it's starting them from a very young age and teaching them, talking to them about in stewardship and what that means, they can really internalize that. And so imagine, when it's a 5-year-old talking about composting, and knows what climate change is, and talking about bioswales and recycling, what that could look like when they're 25 or 35 or 45. And so just some really exciting work. And so here in Atlanta, we do that with a number of organizations. As I said, we also go into schools and after school programs and things like that. So it's a great opportunity for youth to get involved and engaged. Our next program is our Urban Youth Corps. So Greening Youth Foundation is fortunate enough to own a 4.5-acre farm. I was just there this morning. And so there we run our Urban Youth Corps, where we're teaching young people about urban agriculture. We're teaching them about horticultures, animal husbandry, just showing them that there's opportunity for them to work in the field of conservation in the environmental sector and not necessarily have the traditional 2 or 4 year degree or even a master's degree. So really helping them to grow in this space and equip them as much as possible. So they're gaining industry credentials, they're getting mentors, they're gaining a professional network. And so really for them, it's seeing is believing. Maybe they haven't been introduced to this world. Maybe just kind of being a part of it was a barrier in itself. So just creating those opportunities for them to be leaders, for them to lead, for them to learn. And I can tell you, they're very enthusiastic about it. In fact, yesterday we had another tree care program training with them, and they were learning how to climb trees. And so just very exciting work that they could do, and seeing what's possible. There we go. And then our biggest department is our Youth Conservation Corps, not to be confused with the National Park Services, YCC, but we have a YCC as well. And here we're working typically between the ages of 18 to 35, but we're working partner with universities, as Ebony mentioned. So historically Black colleges and universities, tribal colleges and universities, Hispanic serving institutions, being very intentional with that recruitment and letting these young people know, hey, there's opportunity for you to work in this space. And then when we build that program with our partners, so here you see a few of our federal partners that we work with, but again, we're working with outdoor retailers, we're working with non-federal, state agencies, nonprofits, friends groups, you kind of name it. But to say that these young people are excited and they're prepared and they're ready to do the work. They just need an opportunity. So being very intentional about the build out of those programs to speak to knocking down barriers, to speak to the lack of access that we've seen over the years and just create more opportunity, because our goal here specifically within YCC is to help them, these youth, become leaders in a space that they've been historically underrepresented in. And so to do that, we have to be very intentional about the program, about the partnership, and what that looks like. And so our goal here is sustainable diversity. That's our line, if you will, in saying that if we want there to be sustainability in the workforce, if we want there to be sustainability in the environment, we have to do it collectively. And that means just bringing all the smart people to the table. And we've seen a lot of success. As I said, we started in 2007, and we've been able to reach a lot of large goals. Ray, you may have to assist me in sliding, advancing the slides. It's it's moving wonky, but we can make it work. But we've seen a lot of success over the years. So right now we house 7 national programs. We've hosted over 3,000 positions. As I said, we've worked with a number of partners. We're doing these national efforts. So we see that people are interested. It's I get frustrated sometimes, if I'm being honest, everyone, and that people say, oh, there's just not youth that are interested, or maybe they don't meet the qualifications. I'm here to debunk that myth and say that they are there, they are ready, they are encouraged, they're smart, they have great ideas, they bring new perspective and insight. And so it's just a matter of meeting them where they are, having those conversations, checking the biases that maybe we bring ourselves to the door, and maybe getting comfortable being uncomfortable. But as Ebony said, really embedding those values and different ways of thinking into our values, into our core values, our day-to-day, our mission statements, our programming, our outreach. And we can see that it works. Ray, can you take me to the next slide? Mm-hmm. Awesome, thank you. And so this is 2019. As you all can imagine, 2020 looks really crazy. We still had some good numbers, but just to kind of give you what a normal program year looks like. So we had 300 youth that were engaged in 2019. That's from ages K through 12. So talking about that environmental education and what that looks like, and bringing community volunteers. So that's everybody from elected officials, teachers. We have the good fortune of being right down the street from Martin Luther King Jr. National Historical Park. So I can say park rangers and the superintendent there, teachers, babysitters, camp counselors, REI staff came. I mean, you name it, people were just there and really just kind of feeding into those youth and showing them what's possible as an adult, what's possible as a friend, what's possible as an ally. And you'd be surprised how much those moments mean to those students. We also were able to issue, or in partnership, 70 non-competitive hiring authorities. And that's because these young people committed to staying to work within agencies to say, hey, I want to get my credentials because I want to transition into a permanent position. I want to work here. I want to work in this field. And so a lot of those non-competitive hiring authorities that were issued translated into young people getting permanent positions. So that's a large success for us as well. And then, as I said, countless internships and apprenticeship programs through our Youth Conservation Corps and our Urban Youth Corps. So we're very excited about that work. We're very intentional about our partnership and our engagement. As you can see here, there were 30 historically Black colleges and universities, as well as Hispanic serving institutions and tribal colleges and universities that were represented in our 2019 programming. I can say that this year alone for our HBCUI program, that's a program that we have in partnership with the National Park Service, there were 31 HBCUs just in that program alone. And so it just speaks to what is possible. And again, there's young people that are prepared to do the work, that are interested in doing the work. They just simply need an opportunity. And then once they get to those sites, that it continues to be welcoming and accessible for them. We can go to the next slide, Ray. Awesome. And so I won't go through these. The next few slides are kind of the same. And so saying that for us as a nonprofit, yes, we have a lot of smart people in our organization. I know you all have a lot of smart people in your organization as well, but we also have to be humble in the fact that we don't know everything. But we know at Green Youth Foundation that we know how to do recruitment, we know how to do programming, we know we talk to constantly and hear those diverse perspectives of the youth and of our participants. And so saying that we can show up to the table and have conversations like that. Manor's in the same boat. So, relying on the partnership. Partnership is something that we talk about all the time. And we're there from soup to nuts, if you will, to have those conversations. So if it's talking about recruitment and intentionality behind that, if it's talking about what HR management looks like, making sure that it's a paid experience, uncluttering or unpadding, as I sometimes say, the position description and what that looks like, the entry when it comes to hiring. These are things that we talk about, data collection and reporting and the types of words that are used. So having conversations around those things are really important, right? We can go to the next slide. Talking about opportunities to make it easier for folks to get jobs. That hiring authority is a big win that we are able to use with some of our federal partners, having tailored webinar series and just realize that people aren't a monolith, right? And so we have to talk about things in different ways for different communities, and that being okay, making sure that people have what they need to be successful. So outfitting has been really, really important for us. So knowing that everybody doesn't show up, with the Patagonia vest and your Keen boots and, your Chacos when you're taking off your Keen boots, whatever that looks like, or just a really good rain jacket, or if it's somewhere that's really cold, making sure that they have the proper jacket or tent, whatever it is, but that doesn't disqualify them from the position, right? So being a support to them and giving them the small things that actually sometimes can be really, really big things just to help them out and to be successful there. With us, we also create mentorship programs and coaching programs, but we've seen success what this looks like on the host site as well. So know that these things are really, really important. Ray, we can go to the next slide. Awesome. Well, that's it. So yeah, I just want to say that this work, it does take a lot of time and effort. As Ebony said, it will keep us all very, very busy. But I jokingly say the goal of a nonprofit is to work yourself out of a job. And so we're very hopeful that one day we'll get there. And again, it's because we're having constant conversations with good people like you, but know that it does take a lot of intentionality, takes constant effort. It takes constant just trying and sometimes messing up and getting it wrong, but know that there's people here, and on the other end of it, it's worth it because there's a workforce out there that is excited to do the work. They're willing to do the work. They just simply need an opportunity. So with that, I'll say thank you and turn it back over to you, Ray.
Wow, Ebony, what a presentation and what an opportunity. Speak to us about that 18 to 35 age group that you work with so much in implementing projects and programs. And I'm just, for one, I think our audience today hasn't been familiar with your organization and that you could help with that 18 to 35, uh, opportunities for folks.
Yeah. So we've been able to, I'll say we started there just because that's who our partners were. So we were doing a lot of youth programming, specifically with the National Park Service and the Forest Service. And so that's how youth were defined. But then we were like, hey, we're really good with this group, so we'll stick here, And so constant engagement there, and really tapping into where these students are, or some of them aren't students, right? Maybe it is a freshman in college, but maybe it's someone who had a graduate degree or someone who's looking to switch careers, and they're a young professional. And so what we're doing is constantly recruiting. Even if I don't have a vacancy, we typically always have vacancies, but even if we don't have vacancies, we're constantly recruiting. We're constantly working with community organizations. And so if someone would come to us and say, hey, Ebony, we have an idea for a program. We want it to look like this. We go to the community, we're having constant conversations with them, and we're seeing where these youth are, we're seeing where gaps are. And then once we put those youth into the space, we don't expect them to be a seasoned professional either, right? And so making sure that they are getting some professional development, they're getting some support, they're getting resources, a professional network, so they too can be successful in that space. And so we've seen that really be important to making sure that those youth 18 to 35 are successful, not only in the position, whether it be an internship or apprenticeship program, whatever that looks like, but also in their professional careers and for years to come.
Wow. We had a question about job boards to Ebony Weber, and do you also have job boards that you have available?
We do. So we ask folks, you can actually just email me and we can talk about what that process is. But we not only offer our partners an opportunity to have their positions posted on our job board, but we also have a newsletter that we sent out that spotlights different job opportunities, and that's going to thousands of folks. And so if that's something that you all are interested in, by all means, please reach out.